Hi all. We are continuing here with mean, mode, and median um, measures of centrality that we, in other words, would call averages of a data set. So we introduced these yesterday, and what I intend to do now is just briefly maybe walk you through question two, how you would do it, and then in detail we'll look at question four. Okay, so question two really is a question that challenges your knowledge on your understanding of mean, mode, and median, and it also asks you about the range. In summary, how it works is this. A student is given a list of different numbers and they have to pick five random numbers from those numbers. Okay, I'm going to go on to part B. One sample has a median of 23. Write down a sample of five different numbers from the table that has a median of 23. So in other words, you have to list off five numbers in order that would give you a median of 23. Okay, so 23 obviously has to be in that data set, and you have to pick four other numbers. Now, if you're going to get a median of 23, remember one thing. Remember that it has to be ordered and 23 must be in the middle. By ordered, I mean it must go from smallest to biggest. Okay, I'm sure you'll be able to figure that one out. There's a few different examples you could write down for that. The next thing then is write down two different samples from the table that have a range of 12. Okay, again, remember the range is the difference between the maximum number. So if I pick out five numbers, what is the maximum number subtracting from the smallest number, and it gives me a value of 12. So again, write down five numbers that will work out and give you a range of 12 for that. John sample is this. Find the mean of John samples. So remember, to work out the mean, it is all of the numbers added up and divide by the amount of numbers. And part E then states the following: that Maria cannot recall all the numbers in her sample. She remembers selecting 31 and 37, and that the number of her sample has a whole number. Find three other numbers that could have been in her sample. Well, looking at that, what you could do there is this is problem solving at its finest. What you do is you write down numbers 31, 37. You could represent the other three numbers by letters. We don't know what they are right now. You could say they are A, B, and C. Okay. And when you work it out though, so she remembers selecting 31, 37. She works out the mean. So remember the mean, how you work it out. What you do is you add up all the numbers and you divide by the amount of numbers. So there are different options she could pick, right? But remember one thing, that she will be dividing by 5, and it must be whatever numbers you pick out must be divisible by 5 in order for it to be correct. Okay, right, so that is that question there, and now I want to look at question 4, and as I said, we're looking at this in detail. Right, so what we have here is a stem and leaf diagram, and we are asked to do the following. We're told the range of data in the stem and leaf plot above is 44. It says find the value of x. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to try and figure this out using this value here. Okay, so find the range of the data in the stem and leaf diagram above. The range of the data in the stem and leaf plot above is 44. Find the value of x based on that. Right, so what we'll do here is on the side, I'll write down what I know. Okay, so what I know here is that the range is equal to 44. Right, these represent ages, by the way. So we have 2 and 2, so that's 22. 2 and 5, 25. I actually forgot my key for this. So what I should have there is, well, you know what, it's maybe easier to write it. So what I have here is 2. So 6 line 2 equals 62. Okay, and I'll just reload that so that pops up on the screen nice and cleanly. So what we have here is a range of 44. Right, so what we want to do is work out x. What you should recognize here is that the value of the range basically is the maximum number, which is this number here, which is an unknown number, which is x, and you subtract that here from this number here, and that'll give you the range. So all I have to do here to figure out the maximum number is all I have to do is I have to add those numbers. So if you look at it, what I'm really adding here is I have 22. Okay, so 22, so 2, plus 44. Okay, 44, and that gives me 66. Okay, so what I have there is 66. The person's age, the maximum age on this stem and leaf diagram is 66. Right. But the value of x is not 66 though. Remember, when you're putting this into a stem and leaf diagram, you don't put in the total number. What you do is you write it down. So this 6 here represents 60s, and this the amount of tens. So we have 6 tens, and I have a digit here of, as I said, 6. So this x is equal to 6. So 66, 6 line 6, so that's 66. That's part A now worked out. So we could say here x is equal to 6 for part A. All right, so that was okay. That should have been okay for you. And the next part then, it says find the mode of the data. Right, so what we have to do here on our stem and leaf diagram is look at where we can find the most amount of the same number, okay? In other words, if, for example, how many 30s have I got? I've got 30, I've got 130, I've got two 31s, so 31, 31, two 32s, 32, 32. If I look at it, the number that occurs most often is 5, so basically 25. So 25, 25, 25, there's 4 25s. So if you look at that as underlined there, 4 25s, so I would say that the mode here is 25. So B mode equals 25. Right. Now, I must just check that to make sure we've answered that correctly. Find the mode of the data. Yes, the mode is 25. Right, the next thing then is find the median of the data. So remember how we did this yesterday. What you do is you cross out the biggest number followed by the smallest number and keep doing that process until you have found the numbers that are left over. Okay, so the biggest number there is 66. Smallest number, 22. Next biggest number, 62. Next smallest number is 25. Repeat this process. Okay, so I'm going to cross these out now fairly rapidly. Okay, remember you're working at the biggest and smallest are going to be crossed out at the same time. Okay, so biggest and smallest. It can get a bit confusing sometimes, but remember what I have right now is 43. I've crossed that out, and that 31 is going to be the smallest number there. Another 43, another 31, another 42, and we have 32. You keep crossing out until you basically, now I've crossed out a 1, that should be crossed out, and this leaves us here with a value here. We have 3 numbers left over. Cross out the 8, cross out the 3, and that leaves us with a number there of 7. Now remember, it's not just 7 though. This is a value of 37. So the median is 37 for that question there. Once we've worked that out now, actually, I was talking away and that wasn't catching up with me. What we've done there is we've worked out that the median is 37 because that was the only number that hasn't been crossed out. Okay, that is part C. Now, the next thing then, what are we asked to do next? Part D. The sum of the data in the stem and leaf diagram is 1,195. Use this fact to find the mean. Okay, what do we know about the mean? So what we can say here is that the mean is equal to the sum of all the numbers and then divided by, so what I could do is a slash for divided by the amount of numbers. That's how we work out the mean. So what I need to do there, they have done us a favor and they have worked out the sum of the numbers, and that number was 1,195. Okay, so 1,195. We're going to divide that by the amount of numbers. Now, can we work out the amount of numbers? You can, and that you can simply do that by adding up all the numbers. So when you add up all of these numbers here, you should get, and don't forget to include this x because that represents 6. So when you add up all of those, you get 31. That's what I got anyway. And when you divide 1,195 by 31, you get 38.54. And in this question, it states round it to 1 decimal place. That'll be 38. Now you look at the 5. Is it, or you look at the digit before the 5. Is it bigger or smaller than 5? So 4 is smaller than 5. So therefore, it's going to be 38.5. Final answer: 38.5 for that question there. For what we were doing, the mean of that data set. Right. So that is now part D done, and we want to look next at part E. Right, So what does part E state? The three oldest people have been a little bit dishonest. They have admitted that they were, in fact, a year older. Which of the following measures changed when the data was corrected? Now, the three oldest people are the only ones that are affected. Okay, so does that affect the mode? So the mode is the most numerous number. So if you look at the numbers here, this person was 61, this person was 62, this person was 63. At a year on now, because they lied, they're a year older. This person is now 62, this person is 63, and this person is 67, rather 67. So does that affect the mode? It does not. Okay, we can see here that the mode, this 25 is still the most numerous number in the data set taken. Okay, so it has no effect on the mode. Does it affect the mean? Well, what you could do there is you could work it out again. Okay, so let's have a look at the mean. So I'm going to write down the answer here, which is the new mean. Now, when you add it up, if you think about this, they're all a year older. Okay, so you're basically adding on a year for each one of those people. Okay, so when you work it out, you're adding on 3 onto 1,195, and you get 1,198. That'll be divided by the amount of people, which is 31. Okay, so when you work that out, you're getting a value there of 38.6. Now, did that affect the actual mean? I would say it did, even though it's only one decimal place. Okay, it definitely affected the value. So for this one, it does affect the mean. Okay, does it affect the median? Okay, when you work this out, when you're crossing out all these numbers, is 7 still the number that's left over? Yeah, 7 is still the number that's left over. Okay, so in other words, 37. So it doesn't affect the median, even if they lied. So that's again why a median could be a very good value of averages. And then does it affect the range? Well, again, you have to work that out. So again, for this, we're talking about now the new range. So the new range, what is a new range? Well, the person there who was bottom of the ages was 22. Okay, the person who's the oldest, in actual fact, is not 66, but they are 67. Okay, so when you work that out, you get 45. So is the range different? If you look at it, what we thought was the range was 44, but in actual fact, it's 45. So the values here that are affected are the new mean, the mean value, which is basically the standard average, and the range value were also affected. It had no effect on the mode, which was 25, and it had no effect on the median, which is 37. Right, does that answer our questions? It says which of the following measures were changed when the data was corrected. The answer is the mean and the range. Final question, in the case of each of the measures that have changed, calculate the new measure. And I've basically done that in order to answer the question. Okay, so the answer is 38.6 for the new mean and 45 for the new range. Right, that is how you do question 4. You will be answering very similar questions to that in the book. Now, not every question is exactly the same as what I've done today, but it's just problem solving. Do you understand what the mean is, what the median is, what the mode and what the range are? Okay, can you work through questions that don't necessarily give you all the information? Okay, so best of luck with your homework, and we will talk to you soon.